news and misinformation from the digital front to coordination with other government agencies for takedown of these fake news sites, no, and
Police General Nicolas Torre III nakuratan ang PDO tungkol
sa small digital equipment. Now they use the iPhones for shooting and editing their content, and also for delivering the content in the other platforms like PTV4 and IBC13. And it's been an effective way of reaching more and more audience. And this way, we were able to gain more awareness with our platforms. In fact, the government radio now is hitting top 5 in the ratings compared to the commercial stations, meaning the messages of our government are reaching more and more people with our adoption of our content strategy with this digital first strategy.
Madam Chair, this question is directed to the Secretary. What effort are you pursuing currently, if any, to address the proliferation of fake news or false information, and how much of the budget is spent for that?
Siyempre, intro muna tayo.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, we do a significant amount of work in terms of combating fake news and misinformation from the digital front to coordination with other government agencies for takedown of these fake news sites, no, and we continue to do information campaign against fighting fake news. Now, in terms of the amount allocated for that, I would say for the various program to educate our people against fake news and combating fake news, we only have an allocation of 16 million pesos for this year, right? For this year, and
it doesn't seem a lot. 16 million. So what can you just briefly describe the efforts that you are doing to fight fake news?
Yeah, just to be a little bit more specific, Your Honor, when we see something in social media that is obviously fake and is obviously based on misinformation, we counter that with contents that would clarify the misinformation, correct the misinformation, and or outright dispute that fake news. So it's content versus content. So it doesn't require much budget, Your Honor, but it's really more of maximizing and leveraging all the social media platforms available at our disposal, not only at the PCO main office, but through our attached agencies as well. That brings me back to my earlier point that we need to have synchronized and consistent messaging across all our platforms to drown out or even silence this fake news.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Madam Chair, I have questions for IBC, represented by President and CEO Jose Policarpio. President Policarpio, should I call you President Policarpio? I see that the budget here in one of the tabs that you are proposing a 1.2 billion peso budget, and looking at the expenses here, a lot of it is really infrastructure and capital equipment. Did I characterize your proposal correctly?
Good evening, Honorable Madam Chairperson and honorable members of the committee. That's true, Your Honor, because when I came in at IBC in 2023, it was saddled with a lot of liabilities, especially liabilities from former employees who were all paid as of last Monday. because you only got the last batch last Thursday, and immediately Monday we release all the unclaimed, or rather the unpaid benefits. Lastly, and also, when I came in, there were only 5 provincial stations, because most of the stations were already missing, and there was no record of who got them or where it was. So I have to revitalize them, since most of them are mostly dilapidated in dilapidated condition. Mga analog po, and very low in kilowatt, kaya we cannot reach the desired number that we do. That's why I requested in 2024 we presented a digitalization program in line with the government directive to digitalize all operation. And as of now, sir, I'm proud to say that we have 14 from 5, we have 14 digital stations. And we need more because, again, we have to retire all the employees, include the present employees, because they're all covered by CBA, covered by separate agreement, which is very expensive to IBC and to the government. To do so, we are saving 89 million a year. So that's the reason why we opted to retire all and reapply. That way, we will not be saddled with so many benefits, because the previous owner, the salaries were low, but the privileges, or rather the benefits, were rather high, including supply of one sack of sugar, 1 sack of rice every month, things like those. And furthermore, most of the employees have not been paid the corresponding increases in the national wage.
Followers. And this will really reflect on the kind of appreciation the audience is gaining now. So apart from all these cross-platform strategies that we have, we are doing our other strategies, such as expanding our network, not just locally, but now we are already starting to plan for the creation of our own international news network, which will utilize the different communities of overseas Filipino workers, which will become our bridge for information, so that we can come up with a better strategy of providing them information and also receiving information from their end from the different parts of the country. And this has been already successful. We've seen a lot of successful strategies that utilizes the overseas Filipino workers as bridge of information for our different content strategies, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations again to Secretary Dave. We're happy to have you at the helm, and it's going to be a heavy year for you next year. So good luck, and please do a great job. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Oducado. The chair now the committee now recognizes Representative Nico Paul Daza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To my colleagues who are in attendance, our PCO family, and of course our other guests, maupay nga gabi sa aton nga tanan. I was listening to the discussion during the time of Kong Tony Roman's questions, and I would like to commend the PCO on fighting the good fight against fake news, because as we know, fake news is very pervasive and almost systemic now to social media and all forms of digital communication. However, I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, we respond to fake news only as fake news arises. So for me, this might be quite insufficient. So I want to ask if we follow any specific misinformation or combating misinformation frameworks. Do we follow any specific framework for that? Is there a strategy in place?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Actually, I forgot to mention earlier that PCO fully supports the legislative initiatives of Congress to seek to combat misinformation across all platforms. No, and in terms of the systems in place, we have certain fact-checking and verification processes in place. We have our media and information literacy campaign and the digital governance and unified messaging platforms. So there is a system in place apart from the reactionary approach that we described earlier.
Madam Chair, I'd like to thank the good secretary. Could we expound more on that and how we determine what constitutes as fake news?
Your Honor, before I refer you to our digital media services team, I would just like to reiterate that we do an initial and comprehensive fact-checking at the onset to determine if these are fake news. We also check the sources of the content, if they are coming from curated sources of news or spurious overnight links that just came up, and from there we try to address the fake news. But to add to what I'm saying, Your Honor, may I refer you to our digital management media.
All right. Good evening, Your Honor. So under the Media Information Literacy Campaign, we have several programs that includes workshops, trainings to equip the members of our society in fighting fake news and determining what constitutes as fake news. So for one, we have the MIL fact-checking workshop series, which we conducted with Verifiles. So with this, we strengthened the fact-checking capacity in government media by training 75 fact-check officers from state media outlets across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And the initiative actually ensures that state media communicators are equipped with tools and methodologies to detect, verify, and counter disinformation. And on top of that, we also have the training of trainers that we are doing to create the multipliers for MIL education. So by this, we trained educators nationwide. And the program pilot of the MIL module, which is further refined by a feedback mechanism. So these educators will later cascade the knowledge to their respective schools, to their students, their institutions, to ensure the sustainability and the consistency in teaching media literacy. And also, we have the National Schools Press Conference na kung saan ini-embed din namin yung MIL in student journalism. So the concurrent session with school paper advisors provides the practical MIL insights. So we taught them how to mentor student journalists in being responsible when it comes to reporting, ethical fact-checking, and critical use of media. So this ensures that future campus journalists and their advisors become frontline advocates against disinformation. And also we have, we also brought MIL directly to the students during our mall caravans with the DOE. So within this program, we integrated MIL sessions into this DOE mall caravans. So wherein the program taps into the youth audience, and they naturally gather hundreds and hundreds of them in malls to hear and make it relatable for them kung ano ba talaga ang media information literacy. And of course, recently, we also have Usap Tayo Bayan Muna, talakayan kasama si Yusek Claire Castro. So this program fosters a dialogue-driven MIL learning in universities. So through a parang town hall style discussions, with Yusek Claire Castro, students from, let's say, PUP, CEU, and SDI are directly engaged in conversations on truth, responsible media use, and civic responsibility. So those are just few of the programs under MIL, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm quite delighted to hear that there's a comprehensive framework, it seems like, and I think most importantly, there's a dialogue between all stakeholders so that we can ensure the proper literacy in establishing or determining what's exactly fake news and what's real. However, I've yet to hear any mention, any key performance indicators or KPIs. How can we evaluate how successful we are in our efforts? Because, as mentioned by the good secretary, I believe we're pouring in 16 million. And perhaps in the grand scheme of things, this may not seem like a large amount, but every piece counts. So if we have no performance metrics to measure how successful our measures are, our plans are, this is also a waste of money. So I'd like to hear from the PCO if we do have metrics in place for this.
One of the metrics include, of course, the coverage of kung sino ba yung natatap ng programs namin, the number of students, the number of teachers, and everyone that's involved in the program. But I believe it's more important kung once the surveys come out when it comes to this information, how many Filipinos are still vulnerable to it. And from that, we work on kung how much more effort do we have to exert when it comes to media information literacy.
Madam Chair, is this a report that we could potentially get from the PCO? Could we be furnished the results of these studies?
Yes, Your Honor. We'll provide the committee. And Your Honor.
Great. Madam Chair, it's great to hear from the good secretary. And I guess in line with this, we also discussed IBC 13. No? Perhaps to play, I guess, devil's advocate in the spirit of journalistic integrity, how do, because I heard from, I believe, director, that hindi po tayo namimili. We try to highlight every congressman, everyone's work. But again, in the spirit of journalistic integrity, how do we ensure that there's independence and neutrality in the content that we push out? Because, of course, not saying that this is what happens, but we avoid ourselves from becoming, for example, a propaganda arm for the government.
Yes, sir. As far as IBC 13 is concerned, sir, we are always in the forefront of, fighting fake news and misinformation. When I said earlier that we try to combat fake news against factual, in Congress TV, any news that tends to malign or to sort of insult the activities of Congress, what we do is we present the actual footages of what's going on in Congress, and this being done by our SOCMED people and reporters, because they're the most qualified to show what is being peddled as fake versus what is being shown on TV during deliberation, during plenary session, and during fact-finding activities, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, to follow up on that, who determines this? Is there a process for how you decide?
Your Honor, we do not opinion. I mean, all our reporters are tasked to report factual. They are not opinionated. Even if I don't interfere in their news, but they are trained to make sure that their news are factual and none of their personal opinion is embedded in whatever they report. Kaya actual lahat ng ano nakikita rito sa plenary session, sa mga committee deliberation, nilalabas ho namin ng live. Tapos meron ho kami tinatawag na Congress at Work na sinasummarize naman namin ho every Saturday.
Okay, Madam Chair, that's actually my last question. I would like to thank the PCO family, Secretary Gomez, and all those who spent their time with us today. With that, Madam Chair, I yield my time and the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Assistant Minority Leader Daza. The committee now recognizes Representative, the last interpellator for the second round, for the first round, sorry. We now recognize the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez for his interpellation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and of course to the Vice Chair and our Chairperson, Mika Swansing over there. And good evening to Secretary Gomez and the officialdom of the Presidential Communications Office. First, I'm glad that our good friend, our colleague, Precious Castello is here. Thank you. We are happy to see you here, back to your home. We're also happy to see my dear cousin, my primo, Jimmy Policarpo. So, we are here because we have the presentation of the budget. And I have read, this was earlier given to us, and I have read the accomplishments and achievements of the PCO, and we are very proud of this office. And so therefore, looking at the budget, we saw, Madam Chair, that there was a very small increase of 381 million pesos. Is that the right amount? 81 million. 381 million. Yes. So may I know first, what was your proposed budget for 2026? And the NEP has only given you 2.5. We know that this difference between your proposal and what the DBM has submitted to this committee.
Your Honor, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the 1 minute suspension. Your Honor, to answer your question, the proposal that was sent to the DBM for PCO proper alone was 1.4 billion. And under the NEB, we were allocated 972. Now, separately, the attached agency submitted their own proposal to the DBM. Unfortunately, I don't have visibility on their original proposal to the DBM. What we have in front of us right now is the actual NEP approved by the DBM, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary. So it is very clear that 500 million was not granted to you because you had 1.4 proposed and you were given only 972. Out of those that were proposed, which are the most the priority items that you wish this committee to study for a possible increase of the Philippine Presidential Communications Office proper? Do you have that list, or do you have the explanation for what was slashed, which you feel are very important for the PCO?
Yes, Your Honor. We actually have a table for the additional ask with the permission of the committee and the Appropriations Committee members. For the PCO proper, we identified a total of 415 million pesos in additional funding that we would need for the procurement of